Welcome to another edition of GuideVision Insider, the podcast and video version of the podcast that gives you an inside look at what goes on behind the scenes at GuideVision. And today, once again, we're right at the top of the organization. Co-founder Pavel Müller, thank you for coming. This is really nice of you.
Thank you for having me, Doug.
Yeah. What we're trying to do with these podcasts is just to give people a better idea of some of the people and the ideas that are behind, the company, because you guys are super successful, and not a lot of people really know about you as people, or this type of thing where your own personalities often are a little bit behind the scenes, and this is why we figured we would get you out in front of the cameras. If it's okay.
It's all right, yeah.
Cool.
So let's go ahead.
So what can you tell me about yourself? Where are you from, and where did you go to university?
Yeah, I'm from Prague, Czech Republic, and I've been a software developer, since my early days. I remember, starting at the age of 10 with my father, and then I remember developing a first video game at the age of 13.
Wow.
And so then I obviously went to the Czech Technical University here in Prague for computer science. So I've got master's in computer science. And then I also have the University of Economics here in Prague as well. Another master's degree. So, combining both technology and business.
Perfect combination for where you are.
Yeah.
What was that first computer? What kind of computer
was it?
It
A PC. It was I think it was 386, back then. So it was like super expensive in the 90s.
What was the game?
Yeah, actually it was like a small fighting game, like strategic and fighting. It was called Citadel. I remember that, but it was simple, developed in C.
13 years old and programming in C. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And in university, did you have any projects that you were involved in that you want to tell us about, maybe, or like what did you do for fun?
Actually, for fun, I remember writing a few like residential programs for MS-DOS back then. Like hijacking computers in my high school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of illegal a bit. But then I remember starting like real world work quite early. So I wasn't that much paying attention in school, but I started working in a big Java development company here in Prague. So I started learning about bigger projects, especially in the banking industry, developing teller systems and back-end banking systems, during my university studies. So that's actually related to our later business, because I basically continued with the same.
And so I actually wanted to go a little bit into how you started GuideVision with Norbert Nagy. What was it like to start your own business?
Yeah, actually GuideVision was back in 2012, but we had been running a Java development business with Norbert since 2005. So it was like back in 2012, we already had a successful company, and we also worked for bigger customers here in Prague, and one of them was a global logistics company based out of Prague here, and we were developing some software around IT service management for them. And then because of that we won a big integration project for something they called ServiceNow, basically replacing their old IT service management platform with ServiceNow. So we weren't the ServiceNow partner implementing ServiceNow, but we were actually the system integrator, connecting and integrating ServiceNow with 30 plus other systems.
Wow.
So it was basically our second company when we saw the technology, and we decided, hey, this looks really good, ServiceNow as a technology and as business. So it was basically our second company.
So one of the things that Norbert said was that he was really interested in using or looking at ServiceNow as a way to develop the consulting side of the business. But I wanted to ask you, as a developer, what interested you about the architecture of ServiceNow?
Yeah, you're actually right, because we started thinking about it because of the technology.
Uh-huh.
Back then we were also thinking about other businesses, not just Java development system integration. We were looking for other opportunities as well.
Mm-hmm.
But most of other technologies that we wanted to evaluate or try out were not really good deep inside, right,
mm-hmm.
from the technology perspective. But ServiceNow was really well designed. It was really fun to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually grabbed our attention because of the great architecture and great technology. And the second thing was that we realized that, hey, this has a big potential on the business side as well. So it was a great combination.
And it was hopefully not a very big, difficult decision to bet an entire company on one platform, right?
Yeah, back then we didn't bet just on ServiceNow.
Uh-huh.
Right? We just decided, okay, this ServiceNow thing looks good. Let's start being a ServiceNow partner as well. But it immediately, took off, and we had to turn a lot of our Java developers into ServiceNow consultants because the demand was so huge that we had to push hard really to manage all of the resources for that.
That's a really nice problem to have.
Actually, it depends, right?
Yeah.
Because from my experience, we've been doing this for many, many years. Running a services company is always about balancing the volume of projects with the number of people you have. So both sides are having it's like negatives. If you don't have enough projects, then you are losing people. If you have too many projects, then you don't have enough resources. So this is a tough job to balance this these two things.
And your background as both a developer and a business person, I mean, that's got to come in really handy there, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Because running a ServiceNow business is definitely not about implementing, software in the ServiceNow platform. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's part of it, but more importantly, it's about delivering some value to the customers. So, we as GuideVision, we don't need just software developers. Those consultants have to be real consultants as well. They have to understand the business value, understand the processes, mm-hmm. and then, of course, tweak the platform accordingly. So this combination is basically required to be successful in the ServiceNow space. And
that's something that you guys are really good at. I mean, the combination of both process knowledge and technical skill is kind of rare, even in the ServiceNow space. I mean, a little bit. Yeah,
some of our competitors started the other way around.
Yeah.
They started as business consultants. And in my opinion, it was then much harder for them to get the software development skills, mm-hmm. right? I can imagine that it was hard for them, to succeed in the technical part. So on the other hand, we were quite experienced in the technical part, and we had to, as a company, we had to adapt and learn the business consulting part.
Mm-hmm. That actually leads me to the next question then, because a good ServiceNow consultant needs to be both left brain and right brain, right?
Yeah, correct.
So when you're hiring somebody, what are some of the character traits that you look for? I mean, like when you're talking to them, can you tell, like, oh, this is going to be a good ServiceNow consultant?
Yeah, the good news is that it applies to most of the tech companies. The good news for most of the people is that there are broader roles or more roles in the software projects or consulting projects. So people who are more to the business side, they can do more of the business. Yeah. They can be more analysts. Someone can be a QA engineer or project manager. So the good news is that you can succeed in the tech industry with different skills.
So you don't have to be just a hardcore C coder.
You don't have to be Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
On the other hand, our most popular role in the company here, or the one we need the most, is what we call a ServiceNow consultant. And this is exactly the combination of a software engineer and a business consultant.
Right.
And from my experience, again, the best way to start is being a software engineer, and then gain the experience and knowledge to become a consultant as well, right? So when hiring people, I and my colleagues, we better look for technical people who are really having it as a hobby as well. Because if you want to be a good software developer, you typically want to do it at home as well, right? If you have it just as a job, then it typically doesn't work that well. So the best candidate for us is someone who is a real techie,
right?
Developing something even in their free time, and then as they gain experience on real world projects, then they become consultants as well.
So you mentioned free time. What are some of your projects that you're working on in your free time? Like, are you doing any tech projects these days?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure if I can share all of them, but. Yeah, for example, one of my latest things is I run a Lightning Network node. This is like the second layer of Bitcoin. So
whoa!
Yeah, I'm kind of running it and kind of developing a few things here and there. So yeah, this is just a private hobby.
Yeah.
For these days.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. It's good to have people with side interests, right? I mean, that helps to develop a fuller person.
If the best developers need to be passionate about the craft.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend today about a project that he's working on in Arduino, some machine vision stuff, and it's like, wow, you can do that on an Arduino? It's like, wow. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It takes a passion. And yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. When this leads me then to the next thing, right? Which is that you're one of the lead developers, or you have been one of the lead developers of a product called SnowMirror. And so I was going to ask you, what is SnowMirror for people who don't know, and what does it do, and like what can you use it for?
Yes, SnowMirror is just a small add-on to the ServiceNow platform. And it's actually a smart data replication tool for ServiceNow. It's very simple. It just copies the data from the ServiceNow cloud to the customer side, basically making a replica, a copy of the data. And the most popular use case is reporting. If our customers need to do something about or needs to do something with the ServiceNow data outside of the ServiceNow platform, then they need this kind of an extraction tool.
Okay. And what led you to write something like that? I mean, how did you come up with the idea? Was it your idea?
Yeah, it wasn't mine idea, but the origins or the roots are in the same logistics company project.
Yeah.
In the big integration project.
Yeah.
Because we had so many integrations with data warehouses, data lakes, reporting platforms, other integrations. So we decided, okay, we need to implement a best practice, and the best practice is called an operational data store or a reporting database, right? So this is not our invention. This is an industry best practice to actually have a copy of the production data somewhere.
Right.
And this is something that we developed for the customer, or designed for the customer back then. And then I remember about a year or 2 years later, we always run an internship here in the company, a summer internship for students. And we always have like a real world project for them. And this was one of the topics of the internship. So we decided, okay, let's develop this idea further and let's make it a product. So, the original code base is coming from the students, developing SnowMirror.
How cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so, of course, it was like a first version.
Yeah.
But then we managed actually to sell it to a few customers.
Yeah.
One of them was Sky TV in the UK, and
the TV network.
Yeah. And they've been our power user for many years. And these kind of customers helped us to develop the tool further to make it a real product. And since the ServiceNow platform actually lacks this feature or this add-on, then we became quite successful with that.
So a lot of people would be thinking then, like, I have everything up in the cloud. Why do I need to get it replicated to on-premises or onto my own cloud, right?
Yeah. On the other hand, this tool is not about cloud or on-premise.
Yeah.
Right? As I said, this is more about implementing an industry best practice, a reporting database.
Right.
So, you might ServiceNow is a cloud service,
right.
and you might want to copy it on-premise if your other operations is on-premise.
Right.
But these days, most of the installations that we are making is about copying the data from one cloud to another. Let's say from ServiceNow to the Microsoft Azure or AWS.
Right.
So it's more about copying the data from the source system to a data lake or to a final destination,
right?
Or to closer to reporting.
And once it's there in that backup database or the replicated database, then you can use stuff like Tableau or Power BI on it, right?
Exactly. Tableau, Power BI. This is, let's say, direct reporting, but if a company has a data warehouse or a data lake, you want to load the data there, or you might want to archive the data because you want to delete some old tickets from ServiceNow, but you want to keep it for auditing. So many use cases, right?
Right.
With this data extraction.
And I mean, you've got a lot of really big customers these days. I just saw your interview with one of the people at Comcast. I mean, Comcast is a gigantic company.
Yeah. We've got, I believe we've got like tens of customers from Fortune 500.
Wow.
And altogether, we've got almost 200 customers globally. So, Snowmirrors is quite successful.
That's great. And it's tied to the ServiceNow version, right? So ServiceNow updates every 6 months, right? So every Snowmirror version has to be lined up with the ServiceNow version, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Is that hard? I mean, to update, to make sure that everything matches?
Yeah, it requires significant effort because we have to make sure that all of these 200 companies are, fully compatible.
Right.
So we have to keep pace with ServiceNow. We basically release together with ServiceNow. So our user base, they can be sure that if there is a new ServiceNow version, there's always a fully compatible Snowmirror version.
Yeah.
So we always do like full testing cycle around every single ServiceNow release.
And when you start work on a new version of Snowmirror, or at least a new cycle, a new major point version, you probably you've got a pretty good understanding of the internals of ServiceNow to be able to do that. Does ServiceNow let you peek behind the curtain and see, some of the internals? And
we are a technology partner.
Yeah.
So yes, we are even a member of their early access program. So we are always getting the new versions in 2 months in advance. And yes, we also we know some tips and tricks behind the curtain. We've been doing this for many years, so we know about some undocumented stuff in ServiceNow, and we are using that. We also have some good contacts to the product development team. So definitely, we've got a lot of advantages. Let's say comparing to a typical customer that would want to script it themselves.
Right.
Which is not always a good idea.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people still have this idea that they could probably save time by just doing it themselves, right?
Yeah, the whole idea behind Snowmirror is not anything fancy, right?
Yeah.
It's just a tool copying the data.
Right.
The thing is that, the details here are hard. The ServiceNow platform is not as simple as it might seem. So one thing is the development costs. You have to implement basically what we have implemented. But then what is being underestimated the most is the maintenance cost. Exactly as you were talking about the 2 releases every single year, and then all the security patches and stuff like that. So we can save a lot of maintenance costs for our user base.
Right. So total cost of ownership is a lot lower.
Exactly.
Because usually people don't factor in that development, the maintenance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They typically forget about the maintenance costs.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, with ServiceNow updating every 6 months, that's a pretty rapid development cycle on their part.
Yeah.
The thing that is also really cool about SnowMirror is that this is one of the things that also interested the people that purchased the company. Right? They're now Infosys has purchased GuideVision, and they've integrated SnowMirror into the offer, into their what's it called, the cafe, ESM Cafe, right? Yeah.
Because again, the idea is quite similar. ESM Cafe is about implementing best practices on the ServiceNow implementation side. Right? It's more about processes, different modules, stuff like that. It's like an accelerator package coming from Infosys, best practices. And SnowMirror is a best practice as well.
Yeah.
Okay, it's, let's say, a more technical best practice, not a process one, but still, the customer is now getting, the whole package of best practices from Infosys, including SnowMirror. So that's why it fits, the Infosys strategy.
Very nice. How is it working with Infosys? I mean, you guys have you were acquired last year, right?
It's 18 months.
18 months. Okay. Yeah. How's the relationship? I mean, can you tell us a bit about how that's going?
Yeah. Honestly, it's better than we expected.
Yeah.
Right. Because the history is that we definitely wanted to partner with a global company that could cooperate with us on big deals, or that can secure big ServiceNow projects for GuideVision. But the idea wasn't that we want to be acquired and then fully integrated. We knew that we've got something unique here about our culture, the delivery methodology, and the way we work. And this was like a perfect match with the Infosys idea. So that's why I call it a partnership and not an acquisition, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Right. GuideVision is maintaining its brand, its management, its way of working, and this is actually better than I expected, because all of these promises made by Infosys are here, and it is even better. They can definitely secure the projects. We can work on becoming one of the leading European ServiceNow partners. So yeah,
very cool.
Very, very good.
In the history of GuideVision, what do you consider some of the biggest wins? Like, what do you think are the biggest successes that you've had? Are they the big clients like Comcast, or like some of these other ones? I mean,
I always say that we were never thinking about the business as customer first. We were always like employee first. Because if you want to have a consulting company, you need great consultants. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So, for me, the biggest win is that we managed to find great consultants and great techies, especially beginning of the GuideVision journey. Right. So I really appreciate the team that we have here, especially the senior team. So this is what I consider one of the big wins. And then, of course, on the customer side, I think one of the big customers where we are like a strategic vendor for them. Right? It's not just a vendor that is doing what they say. We are more like partners where we have roadmaps with the customers for, let's say, the next 5 years. What else can be developed on their ServiceNow platform, where we are actually managing the architecture of the whole platform. So definitely these are the types of customers that I really like.
Yeah. To go back to that, what you were saying about the culture of the company, you guys invest a lot in training your teams, right? what are some of your favorite sort of internal things? Like, I know that you guys do this thing called Radar.
This is one of the initiatives. But you have to understand that when we started the company back in 2012, there was no one to hire. There was no ServiceNow consultant available here in the region. So the whole company is designed for like finding the right talents. Then we are having an adaptation program for the newcomers to actually teach them about the ServiceNow platform, and then we've got several other initiatives how to develop our consultants further.
So continuous learning.
Continuous learning. This is one of our strategic, points here in the company. So yes, we've got like career paths. We've got programs for senior consultants. We've got talent management here. Radar is an internal knowledge sharing conference. We've got workshops here running almost every evening. So many of these things, but this was a necessity, and this is how the company was designed from the very beginning.
I mean, this is actually important for a lot of people who are just starting out their careers, right? That they want to be able to upskill, to develop their skills further, and you don't want to just sort of get stagnated in the technology that you learned in school, right? You want to keep developing it. And
sometimes I still see that our candidates don't know about ServiceNow, even though I consider ServiceNow as one of the most successful companies in Silicon Valley these days. If you look at the numbers, if you look at the market position they've got or the market share, so this is a great career choice because I don't see anything that would be replacing ServiceNow in the next 10 years. Right? They are super successful. So becoming a ServiceNow consultant, let's say for the newcomers, is a very good choice.
Because you're gonna have lots to do for the next 10 years at least.
Absolutely, and there is like really high demand for experienced ServiceNow consultants. So this is a good job.
Very, very cool. Actually, talking about the next 10 years, how do you see ServiceNow developing? Like one of the trends that I see in the ServiceNow world is toward no code, low code. What else do you see?
Yeah, let's talk about this low code, no code movement because I like it a lot.
Okay.
You have to understand that the volume of software that is being developed in the modern world is growing exponentially, right? Yeah. So imagine a bigger customer like a bank developing big number of projects, and of course there are systems or applications like the internet banking system or these kind of things. Right. For this kind of software, of course, you would hire top-notch developers. For Java, you invest heavily into custom development because this is your competitive advantage, and you want to invest into that as a bank. But then there is a lot of other software, such as an application managing your security trainings, right? And it doesn't make sense to implement this kind of software in Java with scarce resources. Right. You better choose a no-code or low-code platform that can be, developed by, you can even call it citizen developers, right? Or analysts, because it's not about hardcore development. It's more about configuration or customization,
designing a form, and
ServiceNow is exactly in this area, right? Because ServiceNow is not just about IT service management; it's more about enterprise service management and these kind of processes or databases. So yes, I see definitely future in the low code, no code platform for ServiceNow, and then I still think that a lot of customers, they don't utilize the enterprise service management as they could, right? Yeah. A big portion of customers, they still focus just on the IT processes or something around IT, but ServiceNow can be utilized much more in, let's say, HR, facility management, other processes for like employee requests or customer service management. So I still see a huge potential even with the modules that already exist.
And I mean, they're also moving into industry solutions, right? Things like a special set of modules for telecoms, for example, or this type of thing, right?
Yeah. So I think this is still like starting, or they are trying to find some solutions. But basically everything that requires a workflow or process or a ticket, ServiceNow is good at that.
You obviously you've started now at least two companies, right? And obviously GuideVision is super successful. What advice would you have for someone who's starting their own tech company? What would you tell them?
Yeah, perhaps it's not just about tech companies, right? What I personally think is that if you want to be successful in business, then you have to specialize in something, right? The best way for me is that you want to be the best in some selected service or knowledge or in some specific area, right? So my advice would be, select something that you are passionate about, that you really love, and become the best in that, right? And then, usually the business idea or the business itself comes naturally, right?
It builds around that.
It builds around that. So and perhaps other experience I've got is if you look at other companies or most of the companies, the success is not always about the idea itself. It's much more about the execution, right? So my advice would be focus more on the execution, and it is also related to this knowledge to be the best, right? So if you can deliver really high quality product that is required by the market or that is needed by someone or the market, then you are actually becoming successful.
That's good advice. That's really good advice. I'll have to write that one down. What are your own plans for the future? What's next for Pavel Müller?
Yeah, I've been always a tech entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right? So I will definitely continue, seeking opportunities in the tech space for, GuideVision and the whole Infosys family.
Mm-hmm.
There is still a lot of opportunities. I'm not focusing just on the ServiceNow space at the moment. I try to look at broader ideas as well. So I'm trying to bring new ideas for GuideVision, but also for, let's say, Infosys, some innovations as well. So this is what I would call my future.
Wonderful. That's a great place to end our conversation. Thank you so much, Pavel Müller. We are wrapping up another edition then of GuideVision Insider. My name is Douglas Arianes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, if you're watching. And tune in again next time where we'll get you some more information on behind the scenes here at GuideVision. Thanks for listening.